potent advice, and inspiration from real self-made millionaires. Welcome to The Eventual Millionaire with your host, Jaime Masters.
Welcome to Eventual Millionaire. I am Jaime Masters, and I am so excited to have my very good friend, Chris Ducker, on the show. He's amazing and humble also, but he has a company or many companies that have over 450 employees, serial entrepreneur. You can check him out at youpreneur.com, and he has a brand new book, which you should hold up the book, Chris, called Rise of the Youpreneur. He wasn't ready. Perfect. Look how beautiful that is. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Chris. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you.
And it's midnight over there, so we need to keep him snappy and on his toes. So give us the definition of youpreneur, because it sounds cool, but most people might not know what it is.
Yeah, it's very simple. Youpreneur is basically somebody who builds a business based around them, their personality, their experience, and the people that they want to serve. It's really that simple. So it's people like, for example, authors, speakers, coaches, consultants, bloggers, podcasters, YouTubers, live streamers, anybody really building that business around their personality and what they can talk about, the value they can share, and, you know, whatever they can do to hopefully provide solutions to, you know, people's problems.
So are we cool enough? Is everybody cool enough to have their own personal brand? Because I know, especially when I first started, I'm like, I'm not that cool. Now I have purple hair, I'm cooler. But before I didn't feel like I was.
Yeah, well, you've got hair. So if I can be cool, then you're well over the top cool. No, I think, look, ultimately, is the personal brand business model for everybody? Almost. I will say almost everybody. And the reason why I say almost is because, you know, there are those very, very introverted introverts that just couldn't, just the idea of being remotely the center of attention just brings them out in hives or something. You know what I mean? So it's not necessarily for everyone, but it's almost for everyone. And more importantly, in today's business world, it should be something, unless you're in that particular camp, it should be something that you take very seriously, because your personal brand ultimately becomes your reputation. And your reputation ultimately becomes what people say about you when you're not at that conference or at that coffee meeting or at that dinner party or whatever the case may be. So the old, you know, the question I sort of say to all my clients is, you know, how do you want people to talk about you when you're not around? And that really gets them thinking, you know what I mean? So it's important. I think personal branding in general, you know, it's a buzz term that's been thrown around for many years now. But, you know, it all came about, and the focus for Youpreneur for me came about probably about 4 years or so ago now. I coined the term. And then in 2015, I launched the mastermind community. But I coined the term because I really started to look back at my businesses and how they had grown and whether there was any sort of pattern involved in them. And the one thing that I just kept coming up with over and over and over again was that people did business with me way before they did business with my businesses or my companies. And so, you know, the defining factor was me in that equation. I was the one building the relationship. I was the one building the trust. And I was the one ultimately convincing people that they should be teaming up with me. And so, you know, that's at the very core, that's what a youpreneur does. It's all about relationships and solving those problems.
Okay, so if you have a business and you already have a brand, because I'm actually going to ask for me, like Eventual Millionaire is separate, right? I don't have Jaime Masters, I own them, but nobody can spell my name. So I never went underneath my name specifically. Should I be under my name, or right now I just forwards?
Okay. You know, you don't need to be under your name at all. Should you have your domain name if you can? Absolutely, snap it up without a doubt, and then just forward it over to your main business domain, just like you do. But no, I mean, you don't need to do that to put a personal brand out of it. I mean, you know, people like, you know, Pat Flynn, Smart Passive Income, you know, Virgin, Richard Branson, you know, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. I blog at chrisducker.com. I podcast at chrisducker.com. I'm at Chris Ducker across the board on social. It was just the way I set it up. But the bottom line is, you know, at the end of the day, as your kind of interests change and evolve, as long as you keep that core focus on providing value to the people that are following you, are doing business with you, looking up to you, as long as you carry on providing that value, at the very end of the day, they will move with you. As your interests vary and change, they will go with you. And so, I always say that your vibe attracts your tribe. And so that's something that I'm very, very proud of. I'm blessed to have a worldwide community of people that follow my work. I mean, we just did the Youpreneur Summit in London last year. We had people from 37 countries around the world attend in London in November. London's great, but it's pretty bloody cold in November. You know what I mean? We have people came from all over the place.
Well, and I want to highlight that because this way you can actually be humble. Because I went to Tropical Think Tank last year in the Philippines.
You did?
Yes.
Yes.
And your people are fantastic. Like, I've been to a lot of conferences, don't get me wrong, but your people, like, I hung out with them literally every second. I would chat with them at the bar for hours. Your people were really, really fantastic. So how did you do that? I know your vibe must be good, but what the heck does that mean? How do you actually put your vibe out there so it does attract your tribe?
Well, the thing is, this is my mentality, right? Is that there's only one Chris Ducker, just like there's only one Jaime. And for you guys watching or tuning in, there's only one of you. I don't care what industry you're in. It really doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form. I don't care what sector you're in, who you're serving, who you're creating content for, what you're selling. It's all, this is my own personal opinion, it's all completely irrelevant, because the defining unique factor to your business as a personal brand business owner is you. You are 100% original. And therefore, ultimately, you're creating and building a business that's not only it's got zero competitors, but you're fundamentally future-proofing yourself at the same time because of that very factor. So I think that with my people, they know that I have a lot of experience in the business world. They know that I have started and grown, sold and bought several multi-million-dollar businesses. They know that I like to dance, and they know that I like scotch, and they know that I like to have a bloody good time. But at the very core of what I do is I just absolutely, more than anything else, when it comes to my businesses, I love to bring people together. That's the one magic moment for me. When I see people at the bar, on the beach, or in the networking lounge, or whatever the case may be, and I know that they met because of me, that's kind of like you get like a little tingle there that kind of I want the tingle. You know what I mean? I just want the tingle all the time.
That's a good way of saying it, Chris. So
there you go.
Did you figure that stuff out before you went out and started doing content? Or were you, through the process of content, figured out that I love to share and I love to dance and I'm going to share that stuff? Because who picks that stuff,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I think what it was that, I'd been running and building my business for a few years. I burnt out, as you know, at the end of 2009, pretty hard, like hospital, antidepressants, acute exhaustion was what the doctor said. And in 2010, I created this goal for myself to ultimately remove myself from the business and become what I was calling myself a virtual CEO, right? Now, I still own all of those businesses that I had back then, but I haven't stepped foot in the facilities for ages and ages and ages. So I think what happened was, over that course of 2010, when I was blogging, I was podcasting about that journey to other entrepreneurs, they got it. Like, what entrepreneur do you know that isn't stressed or isn't overworked or isn't struggling with work-life balance? We all struggle with all of that at some point in our journeys. And so it just really empathized with them across the board, and they got it. And then through the course of that year of just meeting people at, events or having them on the show and all this sort of type of stuff, I realized that actually this is kind of fun. Like, I don't really like the brick and mortar stuff anymore. I just want to do this. And so slowly but surely, I guess kind of that superpower of bringing people together, and it is a superpower because it ain't easy to bring people together. Just because you charge a certain amount of money doesn't mean that everybody in the room that's bought a ticket is going to be gold. I don't know, man. I wish I had like the quintessential soundbite for you that could sum it all up. I don't. All I know is that I've done the groundwork. I've worked my butt off, and I have no problems at all in blowing my own trumpet a little bit to say that it wasn't easy, but I'm glad I did everything I did because it's all paying off.
See, and I love that because it is intangible and people hate hearing that it's intangible, but it still matters the fact that you actually took the action and got clarity as you were going through it. And I don't think people understand how long that takes, because it took a long time for me too, especially even in the personal details. Like you just said, I like scotch. I like to dance. I like these things. For me too, I'm like, I like MMA. I like this, right? Because people get piqued. Their interest gets piqued from random weirdo stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep.
So why did you say those two? There's probably 1,000 other things that you also are really good at and love and all that fun stuff. Why you pick those two?
Well, because generally when I drink scotch, I start dancing immediately after.
And that's what gets people together. Never mind. We solved it.
No. I jest. I don't know. I mean, look, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. Everybody knows I'm a big dad. I've got 4 kids. I love Lego. I love building Lego with my kids. I'm a total geek. I'm a Lego geek. I'll go out and buy sets for me, and then the kids will be like, "Can I make it with you?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right, you can build it with me." That kind of thing. Lego. What else? I'm looking around. Oh,
I know. Look at all your
gosh.
stuff back there.
I know. How can I forget? I mean, I am the self-proclaimed proudest Brit doing business on the internet, and people said, this is the funny thing, people send me stuff with Union Jacks on it, people in my community that listen to my show or whatever, and it comes from all over the world. I want to show you something very quickly. I'm going to grab it real quick from behind me here. So here we have a teapot. Okay, just a simple ceramic teapot with a Union Jack on it. This was sent from somebody in Canada all the way to the Philippines to me.
It didn't break.
Not even from the UK. It came from Canada to the Philippines, and it didn't break. I have never seen so much bubble wrap in my life. It was ridiculous, but it worked. It didn't break. But so, I mean, these are the things that I think that kind of make me the personal brand entrepreneur that I am. And we've all got our own little quirks. Everyone's got their own little things that they're into. And people want to do business with other people. The big brands will want to do business with big brands because it's an ego thing. But I truly believe that real people want to do business with other people. So when I meet somebody, at a conference, I'm getting done keynoting, and I come off stage and somebody comes up to me and gives me a Lego set, which has happened on more than one occasion. Just a little thing. Hey, this is for you and your son to put together. Oh, thank you very much. But, we've already got this one. But I've had Lego sets. I've had bottles of bourbon given to me in America and stuff. And it's just like, that they get you.
Okay, so I have so many questions. Because I get weirdo thing. I've gotten boxing gloves that say Eventual Millionaire on them. I've gotten a Zelda $1 million bill that has Eventual Millionaire on it. Like, we are so lucky to get random things in the mail. Like, it's like Christmas sometimes. But I barely say stuff like this, not on purpose, but I'm an interviewer. I have to shut up. My goal is to mostly shut up, right? For you, how much do you determine what to share versus not? I've chatted with Pat Flynn about this too, especially with kids. Like, I don't share anything with my kids. What is that number or ratio of content that's really, really helpful versus infusing the cool stuff that we're talking about?
It's the 80-20. It's the 80-20 rule in effect straight away. I know that the large majority of people that will follow me because of my business acumen and experience, and the fact that I can help them, grow their business or figure out how to sell more or how to deal with, delegating tasks or building teams or, doing all the things that I'm known for, right? The other 20% is the fun stuff. When I rent the IMAX cinema in town for my entire company to go see The Force Awakens because I'm a big Star Wars geek. I'm going to put a video of that up on Instagram because, number one, I want to celebrate the fact that I'm hanging out with 450 of my employees. Number two, I'm a Star Wars geek. And number three, I know there's going to be people that follow me that are going to dig both those two things. And so, when I share a video and, you just get a couple of hundred likes out of nowhere and a whole bunch of, I want to come and work for you, Chris. That's cool kind of thing, that kind of stuff. That's 20%. In terms of my kids, I go in waves with that, actually, and it's a sensitive subject, isn't it? Right. So I go in waves with it. There might be times, like if we're on holiday, for example, and we're traveling around a little bit, you might see a few more family photos here and there. I rarely post things to my profile, for example, on Instagram. I'll use Instagram stories because I know they're going to be gone in a day, that kind of thing. So I think the people who are really kind of into following what I'm doing for whatever weird reasons, but for whatever reasons, if you're into kind of following the behind the scenes stuff, you'll see more of the personal stuff. But on the public profile side of things, I tend to try and kind of have that 80-20 balance.
That's really interesting. I've stayed away from I dressed up for Force Awake. I'm a super geek, and I usually don't.
What do you dress up as?
Padme. Because I was going to do a Queen Amidala crazy thing just because, anyway, side note.
Okay.
I wasn't going to be Rey. Everybody's Rey. Anyway, side note.
Yeah. Ray got overdone. Ray got overdone.
Times 1,000. Yeah. Yes. So, but I'm like, well, I'm all about not wasting time for the people that are watching also, or get off social media because, you know what I mean? And so I've found it very interesting sort of subset of how much do you share that is helpful? Because I always feel like I want to keep giving helpful things. So my Instagram is more personal. And literally when I did that the year of your favorite 9s, I was almost wearing costumes in almost every single one of them they were all selfies pretty much. And they were just about all costumes or PJs that looked like a costume. Right. Huh, apparently people like that. Interesting. But it's a little weird too, don't you think? You're really letting people in.
I don't think it's weird at all. I think we're in I think we're in a society nowadays where your authenticity levels have to be at an all-time high for people to build rapport and gain trust in you. And if you don't have rapport and trust in your customers, then you ain't going to get no money out of them. Plain simple. They're not going to do business with you. I serve first and then I sell later. I've always had that mentality, always. And I talk about it in the book, actually, a lot about kind of the behind the scenes and what it kind of means to your customers and prospective customers to be able to see the fact that you like Star Wars or that you dress up for fun and all that kind of stuff. It makes you real, man. It makes you a real human being. Who doesn't like going out with their friends and having a good time? Everybody likes doing that. And so regardless of what all your little funny quirks are and things like that, I mean, unless it gets to the point where it becomes offensive for certain people, like a wider audience, you're better off keeping that off of, social media, obviously. But overall, it's fair game. Just don't cross the line with my children and you and me can remain friends. It's the only area that I'm going to ever have any problems with. And like I said, it's few and far between with the kids anyway.
Yeah, thank goodness. So how do we convert all this rapport into people that are actually reading our emails? Because some people will be like, oh, social, yay, that's great, but I don't care about your emails. Or to sales, right? Because there's way too much stuff out there. And they know they like you. Yay, go Chris. How the heck do we get them to sell? Or what do you tell your clients to sell more because of the personal brand?
Well, I think, here's the thing. When you're talking about building a personal brand, at least at the very beginning, you're talking about creating great, high quality, original, valuable content, right? So whether you're blogging, podcasting, video, whatever the case may be, just be helpful, be highly valuable, and be super, super consistent. And if you do that over a short space of time, amazing things happen. But here's the kicker. And this is big, and people don't look at it like this, but trust me, this is real. when you first start out creating that kind of level of content, you're doing so and you're creating content that you think, and that's the magic word there, that you think people want to hear and see from you. But further down the line, once you've got a little bit of an audience and you've got that rapport and that trust built up a little bit, that's when the magic hour begins. Because what happens is they start opening up. They start talking to you. They start sharing their struggles and their wants and desires and what they need from you. And then you can go ahead and create content that there's the other magic number, that they actually want to get from you. When you do that, and you do it on a regular basis, the friction involved between prospective client and paying client is minimized like ridiculously and almost overnight, because it could only be one more piece of content that you need to serve up for them to say, boom, I'm going to hire her as a coach. And that's it. That's all you need to do. There's no silver bullet to it. You just got to be super valuable and provide people what they need from you.
So you actually know them before you solve the problem, instead of just going, I think they're going to want something like this, which everybody has to get through that. And I don't think people understand, like, that's it. It's kind of a pain. You're guessing, and then eventually you'll recalibrate and get the right subset, right?
Exactly. But the guessing can be minimized by figuring out who you actually want to serve in the first place. So you've got your skill set, you've got your personality, you've got your experience, you know roughly what you're going to talk about and what you can help people with. Because of that and that alone, you should be able to figure out pretty much who you're going to end up helping. Now, at first, that customer kind of avatar or picture could be quite broad, and over time, it could become smaller and smaller. You want it to become smaller and smaller, by the way, totally. Yeah. So when I first started creating content, for example, for personal brand entrepreneurs, it was for anybody. But then I realized by holding events, by speaking to people, by meeting them at book signings and all that kind of stuff, that actually the very large majority of my real customer base was 30 and above, and quite far above in some cases. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to stop trying to, be a little hip and trendy in some of my rhetoric, and I'm going to focus on that age group and above. So, I'll talk about the 80s quite a bit, and talk about, going into libraries, those places, the buildings with these things called books on the shelves, and all this kind of stuff. And people just eat it up. They absolutely eat it up. So if you know who you're talking to, that kind of startup time can be minimized quite well.
I love this. And I highly recommend anyone listening that already has a bit of a personal brand to start thinking about how to make it smaller. Because I did the exact same thing. I was like, I will help at the beginning stages and at the middle. Even though I only worked typically with 6 and 7 figure business owners, I helped so many starters. And then I'm like, why am I spreading myself so thin? Because when you're at the beginning, you only have so many resources. So mostly we just went, oh, never mind. We work with people that are 6 and 7. In general, that's the stuff we sell. That's the stuff we work with, and awesome people, of course, too. But it makes your resources so much easier, and it makes your content easier to create anyway.
Absolutely. And you know what? The people that aren't in that subset of the general population, they might still enjoy your content. And a year from now, 3 years from now, when they're in that subset, they might end up actually hiring you and working with you. So it's not like you're alienating someone. I mean, I genuinely believe that, you shouldn't believe everything you read in Cosmopolitan, right? Size does not matter all the time.
I'm going to quote you on that
Sometimes.
one, Chris Ducker. Sorry, I stopped you right there. Go.
Oh, yeah. But no, sincerely, like I would rather have 100 people on my email list, opening all my emails, clicking on all my links, buying all my stuff because I'm serving them well. I'd rather have 100 people doing that than 10,000 people never opening my emails. So I do believe sometimes less truly is more.
How do you come up with what you're creating? Do you have a whole content calendar? What do you recommend for all these people to create that highly valuable content with 20% personal that make people like chomp at the bit?
Yeah, there's a certain amount of planning involved with it, but honestly, the big kind of secret, which is not so secret at all, is I just listen. That's honestly it. I listen. Every day I get emails and tweets and messages on social media. And me and my team manage them. And we have a master spreadsheet online that everything goes into in terms of content ideas. And if we get, say, one particular subject gets pinged, 5 or 6 times in a short space of time, we know that's a hot topic right now. Boom, we'll create a piece of content for that. So, for example, Facebook Live video could be really, really hot. And, we'll have a whole bunch of tweets. Hey, when are you going to go on Facebook Live? Or, I'm thinking about doing this. Boom, I'm going to do a podcast about Facebook Lives. It's that simple. So you just listen and react to it.
That's more than just listening, though. That's actually recording and then taking the data and then doing what they want, right? Because especially if you have a team and you're like, I don't know exactly what's coming in for questions. I'm not the one on social all the time. Because knowing...
There are numbers in place, right? There are numbers in place where it's like when we get to, 3, we'll ping it. Once we get to 5, we'll research it. When we get to 8... we'll go ahead and actually create the piece of content. So it might take a while for us to get, one particular idea up to that number 8. But once we're there, I mean, literally from hitting number 8 to publishing that piece of content will be normally no more than 4 weeks. We act pretty quickly on it.
Okay. So it's actually, so you don't have like a whole year worth of content that you already know you're going to create kind of a thing.
No, I mean, we tend to plan out, I would say probably about 6 weeks at a time, something like that, give or take.
Okay. Do you batch it or no?
All the podcasts are batched, all of them. So even interviews or solo shows, they're all batched within 2 days each month. And then I do nothing for the rest of the month. So, the podcast is definitely batched. Written content a little bit more. I tend to dictate pretty much all my blog posts now because I find it a lot faster. I'm more of a talker than a typer, if you haven't figured out already. And so, I tend to sort of just, go ahead and dictate them, and then my content writer will write them all out, come back to me, I'll edit, and we'll go ahead and publish as and when. But generally speaking, unless I'm traveling or if I'm taking like a prolonged leave of absence sort of type thing, usually no more than 6 weeks at a time, because I think it's important to keep that flexibility there as well for things that are hot topics. And so, particularly in the personal brand business space, I mean, things move so darn quickly, it's kind of mad. So, I like to try and keep the flexibility if I can.
You'll be like, Snapchat was cool, and now I did a whole thing on it, and it's not cool, and now I look like the uncool one.
Don't even talk to me about bloody Snapchat. 2016, I started 2016, I think we did like 5 pieces of Snapchat content in the space of like 4 weeks or something. And then, 6 months later, it was kind of like, who's using Snapchat anymore? I don't know. So, yeah, but you know what? You got to give people what they want when they want it. It's that simple.
Do you ask for that, though? I know you said listen, but it sounds like people are telling you what they want often. Do you ask often? Like, what problems do you have? How are things going?
I think I probably get more ideas by simply listening and paying attention to what people are saying. But quite often within the Youpreneur community, which is my private mastermind community, I will outwardly say to them, hey guys, I'm putting together some content for next month. What are you guys struggling with right now? Give me some ideas. I want to help you directly by producing content for my bigger audience. Like, what can I do for you? And a lot of the time they give me everything I need. Like we did an entire masterclass at the end of 2017, which was a 1-hour free training, no pitches, no nothing at all in any way whatsoever. It was just turn up for an hour and I'll help you plan your perfect year. And the entire slide deck was sourced from inside of the Youpreneur community. And so we focused on things like putting your money number in place, building up your non-negotiable list, and all this sort of type of stuff. And people ate it up. And I think we had over 3,000 people registered for the public webinar. We did 800 people live. And this was like December 29, that funky time between Christmas and New Year when you have no idea what day of the week it is. All you're thinking about is, the remaining turkey leftovers that you've got, and that kind of thing. And we had like 800 people turn up. It was incredible.
So you do that. Okay. Tell me about that a little bit before we have to start wrapping up. So what makes you do that because everybody's like pitch on webinars, and this is an hour for free that you create content just to give away? What's your goal behind it? What do you get out of it?
Just to be helpful.
Aw, he's humble and kind.
No, because, oh dear me. No, I mean, like, genuinely, at that time of the year, there's a lot of people, say, start your year this way and do this and do that and everything. And some of it's obviously way better than others, but honestly, I do just fine, Jaime, through what I do online as well as offline. And my fuel is the feedback that I get from the people that I help. So, whether it's taking somebody from, mid 5 to 6 figures, or if it's taking somebody from 6 to 7 figures in a year or whatever, I have my high end mastermind, which is called the Round Table, because I'm British and I like King Arthur. So, the Round Table, it's $25,000 a year to be part of that. It's limited to just 10 people each year. And so, I do just fine. So why not just give back a little bit? People, they support me all year round. They buy my book and they turn up to my events.
Go buy the book.
Thank you. And they turn up, they download the podcast every week and all this stuff. Like it's just a cool thing to do at that time of the year.
Yeah.
That's simple.
That's awesome.
And that's like 3 years in a row now. So it ain't hurting me. I'm going to keep doing it,
See, but that's why people like you, number one, right? Because you're a real human and you're like, I can actually help people and I care, which unfortunately is hard to tell with some people online, right? Because even when sometimes they seem like they care, you're like, oh, they care about the numbers at the end of the day and not, oh, I'm doing this to help people in the long run. Does that make sense? Because unfortunately, it's hard to tell. And knowing a guy that likes to drink scotch isn't enough. We need to hear the caring, which I do. I feel like you do a really good job in your content to show how much you care at your events. Oh my gosh, the amount of things that you put into it. I mean, I've been to a lot of events and I was telling him and all his staff, like, can I just have all of these people? Because they're incredible. Your team is amazing.
I remember you saying that.
I was like, how much do I need to pay you to move to America?
Right.
Because your people were fantastic and everybody around you, and they all cared so much about you, which is just a testament to you being so caring to all your people around you. And I can feel that.
It's because I care about them. It's because I know that I can't run, support, and grow my businesses without a great team of people around me. I'm not that smart. Like, I need the help. You know what I mean? Seriously. So, if somebody does a great job for me, yes, I'm going to pay you right, no matter of where you're from, what color you are, what sex you are. It doesn't bother me at all. I'm going to pay you what you're worth. And when you need help because your grandma's sick or you need an advance or whatever, like, I'm going to help you out. You look after your people and your people look after you. That's
why no matter how much, I was like, come on, no, give me a number. And I was mostly kidding. I would never steal your wonderful people. But they were like, no, that's so funny. Ha ha ha, no. Like, they love you.
Right.
Maybe they just didn't like me.
Dear.
No, they loved you so much. Like, the loyalty is not something you can buy with money.
Can't buy it. Got to be earned.
Which is exactly the same thing for your audience also, because they feel for you and they love you, and it really comes across. I highly recommend everybody check out Chris's stuff, let alone buy the book and all that fun stuff, but to see how he creates content and how he oozes that joking and fun and all that fun stuff too. But the care really comes through, just so you know. Just like with Pat Flynn, like that authenticity you can't fake. You're awesome.
Totally.
I have to start wrapping up because I know it's really late for you. And so far, so good. You're still awake. I'm going to ask the last question. We still have another interview to do after this. And go listen to Chris Ducker on Sean Stevenson's podcast too, because it's amazing. It will be, hopefully, if he's still awake by then.
Oh, no, it'll be great. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. So last question. What's one action?
I'm not going to let Sean down. He's like 3 times my size. I'm not going to let the guy down. Why would I want to upset him?
Wait, you want to upset me then? No, what that? No, I'm kidding.
Come on. I mean, this is good. This is good stuff.
I love you, Chris.
Ask your last question.
He's like, let's do this. Now I don't want to. Okay, so what's one action listeners can take this week to help move them forward towards their goal of $1 million?
Oh, I love that. Okay, so this is a little exercise actually
Okay.
that everyone can do no matter where you are. Just grab a piece of paper and a pen. You draw a line down the middle. This is bang smack, by the way, in the first chapter of the new book because it's that important. We actually refer back to it a whole bunch of times. And it's called the self-awareness test, the Youpreneur self-awareness test. So on the first side of the page, you write down, it's called the flatter yourself list. And you write down all the stuff that you are just absolutely bloody fantastic at. Like blow your own trumpet as loud as you possibly can, right? Then on the other side of the line, you make what I call the get real list. And that's all the stuff that you're not so good at. Now, for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's a tough list to put together because we believe we're bloody brilliant at everything, right? But you have to get real. That's why it's called the get real list. And you get real with yourself and all the stuff that's on that side. Here's my biggest tip. You want to get to 1 million fast? Do none of that. Don't try and do any of the stuff that you suck at. Actually, focus on doing more of what you know you're good at. And if you do that, not only will you make $1 million a lot quicker, but you'll also end up helping a lot more people in the long run as well.
I love this. Everybody go do this. Besides getting the book and doing it in the book, which I'm sure you have examples, which will make it a little bit easier. Go do this right now.
Actually, I've got my own personal examples of me filling out the list. Yeah.
Really? Do you?
Authenticity. Come on. Gotta be real.
Good.
Gotta be real.
I can't wait for my book copy so that way I can see how your get real actually is. You know what you suck at.
There you go.
Yeah, everybody, make sure you check that out. It's at youpreneur.com or .com/book or get, what is it? Rise of...
It's riseoftheyoupreneur.com. Or, I mean, you could just go to Amazon and type in Youpreneur or type in my name. You know, it'll pop up.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. This is amazing. Everybody go check out his book. Go follow Chris online. He's hilarious and a crazy Brit, and you'll learn a ridiculous amount from a guy who actually has done it before. Thank you so much for finally coming on my show. And I hope you have a fantastic, amazing, wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you. Thank you for making time for me. I do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that interview. And if you want to check out more amazing resources, I'm only curating the best of the best. Go check out eventualmillionaire.com. You can take the Eventual Millionaire quiz, figure out where you are in business and what you need right now. Plus, you can look at curated resources specifically for you on the new Start Here page. I'm so excited. Please join us. Please let me know if you need anything at all. I'm here for you. And have a fantastic day. Bye.